All right, welcome to One on One. My name is Eugene Anangwe, and as we had promised earlier on, we will be having none other than Senator Tito Rutaremara with us right here in the program. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, so basically, we understand that you are among, the founding members and, of course, those who have been here for a very long time in terms of Rwanda's leadership. And so, maybe before we get into the details of how the Senate operates and other details in the program, we are now in the quarter of the mandate in terms of, whatever we promise the people and also the politics of the country. Where do you see the country today?
Well, we are trying and we are doing well because the country is moving, the economy is growing, we are building our democracy, we are building the good governance, the economy is growing slowly by slowly, but of course we need it to be quicker than that.
Okay.
But of course others think that we are the best, but we want to be better than that. If we look at the targets that we aimed at achieving when we were doing the campaigns, do you think we're going to meet them by the end of the mandate? Yes, indeed we are. As we are reaching there, we are on the track. Okay. In some areas we are still behind. We have last time when we had the meeting of all leaders, we tried to put there the emphasis on the where we didn't have, where we were not on the right track, in order to emphasize it and bring all means and the people to emphasize it, like in electrifying the country. That's one. Like giving water to each and everybody, that's another one. Really, we are trying.
Okay. So let's then jump into the matters of the Senate and how the Senate operates. A couple of people still have low awareness on what exactly is the role of the Senate and how it operates. Maybe in a nutshell, if you can just explain to us.
You see, the Senate, usually the Senate is there, it is a second house. The highest house in each and every country. In ours, it came in order to defend the Constitution, to be the right guardian of the fundamental principles, which are in Article 9 and Article 54. Those Article 9 give out the principle and the fundamental principles of our system, how our system work, like gender equality, like power sharing, like always debating in order to get a consensus, like rule of law, and so on. There are 6 which are there enumerated. The Senate is there to be the guardian, to go and see everywhere where it is being done and so on. Then another work which we do, of course, there are some laws, big laws which come to the Senate. We give the last reading and we vote it. And if there is any problem, we make a joint committee with the lower chamber in order to discuss it. Then we even have the law. The other one which we have is to go to the population. First of all, to see if we have given laws, how are they being put in place?
Implemented as well. Yes.
And again, looking at those principles, good governance, power sharing, debate on looking for a consensus, gender equality, all those ones we go down to see whether they are working. Sometimes you go down or we make big studies and so on. Then we've got another job. The Senate is there to discuss, because we are not censoring the government, but to give an idea, to be a kind of reflection where I've got ideas and tell the government, please
implement this. Yes.
Implement on this, and this.
Do you ever get to a point where there is probably some stumbling blocks, or people who say no, we will not
Oh, no,
do
of
that.
course we make it in a general way, like that, because for us we don't have the right to censor. The right to censor is of the lower chamber. Ours is only to discuss and write our discussions to the higher level of the institutions. Then they are the ones to put into place. We can even ask the lower chamber, please censor this one because of this and this.
Okay, okay. Now, let's talk about what happened recently. Talking of censoring, and the President of the Senate just a couple of days ago stepped aside. So what really took place? Because we have several information that he was being summoned and there was a plan to even censure him or discuss his conduct. And then we saw him resigning. So was he resigned or did he resign himself?
Of course, like higher people, big personalities,
yes,
we always tell them, please, we are going to make this.
Okay.
It is their work. There are 15 senators who had written that they want to discuss on his behavior, how he's working,
yes,
his way of working. And then he decided to resign.
So meaning
that we were ready to go and discuss
okay,
it and make the discussion and remove him because he's elected by the senators. And if the senators say, oh, you are no longer doing the work as we want, and the majority comes out, he goes.
So this plan was already there of,
yes,
of planning to remove him?
No. Of course, the 15 senators had written a letter telling, asking for an extraordinary plenary session to come and discuss on his working. But as he knew, we had always been giving him advice, we had been always talking to him, we always been inviting other people to tell him, please change and so on. And he knew it, and that's why he resigned.
So did he beat the Senate at its own game? In terms of being the first one to get himself out?
Whether you tell even the president to go away,
yes,
he will never say, I'm resigning on my, because people told me to go. He always say, I'm resigning because of my reason.
So do you think he lied then?
It is not a lie, it is a usual thing how they do it.
So it's just a political mindset game?
A mindset game. Usually whenever a higher personality, people write to him saying, please, these things are not going on well.
Yes.
Please check if you either resign or people are going to make you resign. They usually say, I'm resigning for my personal reasons. But even those are the personal reasons because he's the one having made the mistakes. They are the personal reasons. It is a kind of which they usually do.
Okay.
That's how they do it. But because there we discussed it because he resigned after the media had already known that we are going to make that. He didn't resign before. But when we asked for that session, it's when he resigned. But as it was in the media, then you had to tell in the media why. Okay.
So do you
otherwise,
think
if we had done it before,
yes,
nothing would have been discussed.
Be talked about.
Yes.
So do you think this was an aim of saving his image, of not wanting to be, having been resigned?
All high personalities is how we usually do. You can't go and tell the president of a country to go away and and shoot at him unless it's a coup d'etat. But you find that he's not working well. I remember we had the President Bizimungu, the parliament voted and they told him, please resign. And he resigned. And when he resigned, he said, I am resigning because of my personal reasons. And by the way, those reasons are personal because they're the one making the mistake. No one is helping him
to make those mistakes.
Mistakes.
Let's talk of those mistakes. Why now? Didn't we know about them long time? Didn't we have
time,
to
of course.
prepare for this?
When a Senate is members of the Senate are all the people, people who have been working, very wise people. It is something which took us about 3 years telling him, please.
3 years?
3 years, telling him, please, when you are taking a decision, take it with others. Please, don't do this. Sometimes they will say, I'm going to do it. Afterwards, after 2 days, again, he came to the same problem. For instance, in the Senate, they work, there is a bureau. All problems, big problems are discussed in a bureau. The president with the 2 vice presidents. They always look for a consensus.
Okay.
If they don't get a consensus, they take it to the council of the presidents, the presidents of the committees, who come together, discuss that problem. If they don't get a consensus, they bring it to the General Assembly, and the General Assembly is discusses it and votes. Now, you can't bring any problem, any work, without having discussed it with the bureau. And it's what he was doing.
Okay. But he might argue and say there's nothing that ever came out wrongly by doing what I've been doing for all these 3 years.
The law tells you that first you discuss with it. Okay. According to the law, discuss with the Article 10 of our working. Article 10 says nothing can come out unless you discuss it with you 3. And if you get a consensus.
Yes.
If you don't get it, you take it to the conference of the presidents, and they discuss it. Sometimes they get the problem is solved, and if it doesn't solve, you bring it to the General Assembly.
Yes,
is the one to discuss, then vote. But otherwise, if you take it, let's say there is a problem, you call for instance, as they were saying, you called for the Auditor General to come and audit things here without talking.
He did that.
He did that without having talked to the other 2. It's against the law.
But then
the law tells him anything that they do, those 3 have to discuss it.
Okay. But then maybe just playing the devil's advocate in this case.
Yes,
because
you can be the advocate, but be the advocate according to the law.
Exactly. But then look, if he argues out and says, but it's all for our own good because of accountability.
Well, if it is our own good, but there is a law. And remember, the Senate is the one to defend the laws. And if we are good, even if it is good, but the law says that you first discuss it. What if it is bad? Then, if the law says you 3 first discuss it, make it. We can discuss it within 2-3 minutes. We can even discuss it in now there is a internet and so on, through computer and so on, and bring it and make it. Now, that is the problem, by the way, when we say it. When it came in, the Auditor General came and brought a report. Okay. And he was asked, who gave you that?
The authority.
The authority. After you Auditor General, you can't come to another institution like that one without having to say to the President. The President said, no, we don't know it. And it was, the audit was abolished, and it was a mistake.
Because looking from the body language on that day, from the pictures and some who managed to go there, there seemed to be animosity because he was told to explain himself over those allegations that were mentioned. But then, according to some reports, he did not. He just chose to thank the team for having accepted his resignation and later on left. So could there be animosity? How then do you manage to work together? Because he's now a senator.
He's a senator.
Yes. How do you manage now to work with that kind of
No, you see,
animosity
can't come out because we had been telling him for some time. For instance, to give an example, because I'm the one working on discipline.
Discipline, yes.
I met him more than 3 times, telling him, please, change, because these things can bring a problem to the Senate. I even sometimes went with others to go and tell him. That to give an example of me, but it's other senators of his party and so on. But he went on. There is even a time we asked other institutions to come and tell him, because sometimes when you are working with someone, it can be a problem to tell him. We even asked other institutions, please come and give him advice. And
And it didn't work.
It didn't work.
So at the end of the day,
there is no animosity. That's why he didn't want to respond, because what he would have responded, each and everyone would have said, no, this date and this date we came and discussed it. I was even ready to tell him, this date and this date we came to discuss it, this problem.
Okay.
And you had said that we are going to change.
And didn't change. So meaning what you're telling us here, on that day when he resigned, when you had called for, or when the extraordinary meeting was called for, were there any other options apart from calling for his resignation?
No, it was that we are going to debate and vote. And he knew already 15 people had written out of 26. So the majority is there. He knew that it is going to pass.
So what of these others who are the minority in this vote?
No, I mean, there are only 16, 15 who came in, who signed that one. It's because we didn't go to all people who have signed it. Because it's only, you need only 9 to call for a meeting.
And you got 15? Okay. So, looking forward then, how do you explain his decision then to remain as a senator?
Well, he is a senator. To be removed from the Senate, it is only the tribunal. He can resign, or we take him to the court, to the high court, and the Supreme Court, and if it is a crime. But this is not a crime, it is an administrative procedure. Then you can take him to court for administrative procedure.
But there's some accusations that were made there that were serious allegations, that he misused his office.
Yeah, he misused the money, he misused his office, taking money, but when they thought, here we've got a system of preventing that one. When he asked for it, we came in and said, please, this money should not take it. And he refunded it. So
it was refunded?
It was refunded.
All right.
You can't take him for that.
Okay.
In fact, we brought it because the bureau was no longer working. When you have got a bureau which is no longer working, where they are no longer taking decisions, where they are no longer meeting, that was the problem. Otherwise, we had been working slowly by slowly like that one. But once the bureau was no longer working, these people are no longer sitting together, are no longer taking a decision together. Things are passing without knowing it. Some decisions are not being taken because they can't meet. That was the problem. And when we came in, we found that the problem was him. Because they were calling him, please, let's sit and discuss, and he would refuse.
So looking at the position of the President of the Senate, constitutionally speaking, this is the person who, in case of anything that happens either to the President, for example, this is the person second in command. So whatever happened, the incidents of that day, we remember that at that time our head of state was away for the preparations for the Rwanda Day, and then this happened. Were we in any constitutional crisis at that time?
No,
because we didn't have the Senate President.
Crisis because his place was being occupied by the secretary.
Okay, so there was already someone,
there is already someone
who took over immediately. Yes.
Took over immediately.
Okay, so let's talk succession.
Now he's acting until we elect a new one.
Okay, so could you tell us anything about the succession plan of Senator Anangwe?
No, of course we, in the succession plan, it will take some time. It takes 1 month, and as our system is a system of power sharing. Yes. Now, discussions are being within the political parties.
Any names being floated already?
No. That is because if I give you a name and he doesn't come out.
No, we can
but
just...
you see, no, those are the discussions on high level on the political parties, how they are going to share that.
All right, okay. So looking forward
because
then,
he was a member of PSD.
Yes, so the person has to come from PSD, right?
No, it's okay. It can come from any other party.
Okay. So looking forward then, how then do we now, make the public fully understand the role of the Senate, because you earlier on told us what you are entitled to do as a Senate, without the public seeing this, you know, from the face value and saying, look at them, you know, just infighting and resigning each other?
We have been, but of course we have been going out telling people the role of the Senate. We went throughout to the villages and the sectors and the district doing it. But it needs a pause to go again back and explain. Otherwise, we have been doing it. We have been doing it. And we are having a radio, our own radio, which is always doing it, showing the role of the Senate, showing the obligation that the senators have, and so on. It does each and every day. And we even had the time to go down and tell people. Of course, we need another time to go back.
Sure, sure.
Because teaching should be
always continuous.
Continuous.
Yes. So at the end of the day, then, in other countries, we always see, or we have seen, the Senate and the Parliament always having, you know, supremacy wars. Like, we are superior than you. We are the ones who are superior than you. But we haven't seen much of that here, or if it is happening, I haven't heard of it. But in Kenya, which just recently adopted almost the Rwandan kind of system, there's been that kind of an infighting, you know, where you see members of parliament wanting to look superior than the senators. How have you managed to deal with that here?
In Rwanda, it was in the constitution already. In 2003, we discussed it, and it was discussed by the people. Each house had its own role. And on the protocol, the senators are higher. But on salaries and so on, we are nearly the same. It's why there is no problem.
So on salaries, you almost...
It's nearly the same, some few francs and so on. But otherwise, on the protocol side, we are higher. It's why the second, the president is the second, the third is the one of the house. But they have got, you know, we've got our role. We are the guardian of the constitution, especially the principles, the fundamental principles.
Yes.
For others, for them, they are the ones voting the budget and so on. We don't vote the budget. They can censor the ministers. We don't censor the ministers. Our work is to, first of all, to be the guardian of the constitution and those big principles. Second work, we vote some laws, big laws, pass through the Senate in order to be read and so on. And we read it, we correct it. If there is any problem that they don't allow, we make a joint committee to come and discuss with the lower house. And again, another way is to be the reflection for the state. A kind of reflection on the politics of the state in general, and tell them, please, here it is not going well, it is going well, and we give them
to give direction. Now, maybe as we near the end of...
we don't have the same job.
Sure, yeah, but then maybe if you can just tell us, what's the salary level, just for those who would like to know?
The salary, by the way, because they take taxes, it's 1,350,000.
This is after before tax?
No, before taxes. But after taxes, we usually give 900,000.
Plus allowances, of course.
Plus allowances, which goes a bit higher. Allowances on house, allowances on communication.
Do you have sitting allowance?
No, we don't have sitting allowances. Don't have sitting allowance.
We've seen certain countries which have that, but then let's move to the issues.
You sit because you are.
Yeah,
it is our work.
You have to sit because it's your duty to sit, right?
But of course, they give you allowance in communication. Of course, we get allowance in on transport because we give on transport, on communication, and on housing. Those are the allowances that we have. When they give you allowance on communication, transport, which means you have to come and
to work and sit, so don't expect any other allowance. Let's talk about your role when you are the ombudsman. Let's talk matters corruption in the country. Do you think we'll ever have that zero corruption in the country?
You will never have. Even in heaven, seems they need to have. Otherwise, they would not have to go to the Satan, the devil came from heaven. But in any case, we worked very hard. Now, on a higher level, on a political level, the corruption fell down on a political level, because first of all, they are no longer giving markets. The procurement is being done by differently. Then, which means ministers and others are no longer having that thing. That thing brought down the corruption on a lower level, on a higher level. On a technical level, it's where we still have, but it's where the Auditor General goes there to check, and on the lower level, That's the difference between us and the people in Europe. You know, in Europe, the lower level, because the people know their rights, there is no corruption. It is very true. But on the higher level, because they are still in the market and so on, the influences on a political level in Europe, it's where they have got corruption. For us in Rwanda, it's where corruption has gone down. And these ones are the ones to go and supervise. When you are no longer being corrupt, then you supervise more. But it's why in Rwanda it has dropped down within 5 years, and it dropped down very quickly.
So then these institutions that help in fighting corruptions, like the Ombudsman Office, the Auditor General's Office, do you think it is rightful then for them to be given prosecution powers? You know, sometimes you wanted to prosecute the prosecutor. Tell me about that.
I mean, if we find the prosecutor is corrupt.
Yes.
And
someone needs to prosecute him.
Then if you don't have it,
you can't do it.
You can't. It's why we asked it for it.
Did you ever get it?
Oh, yes. The office of the Ombudsman, they have got it now.
All right. So in conclusion, as a senior member of this country, maybe if you look back at the growth of the country 20 years later after the genocide against the Tutsis, where do you see the country going, and what kind of advice would you give to young people who aspire probably to play even a bigger role in growing the country?
No, you see, for us now we are organizing the youth, because the youth is 70% of the population.
Sure.
And the youth is the one having security, the one doing security in the police, in the army, and so on. Now, if we don't put them in good governance in the politics, it's dangerous. So now we are encouraging the youth to be in these councils. Now they become more than 50% on the council, from a lower council up. It's why we encourage them to be in the Senate. There is in the Senate it is not possible, but in the Parliament they have got representatives of the youth, and we have been encouraging political parties to include them in the higher positions, like in the RPF, because I'm a member of RPF.
Yes.
We've got in our executive committee, we've got 5 who are there, the youth. It's in order to make them participate in decision making, participate in ruling, in governing, because they are be the ones to rule this country.
Do you think they're taking that seriously? Do you think they are using that platform properly?
So many things that we are doing. We've got in Gando where we teach them what leadership is. We've got these councils which they have from lower level to a higher level. They have got their own organizations which comes from lower level up to the national level, where they discuss their problems and so on, where they give out the ideas and send them to all the people. Then we are encouraging people to make them participate with the old ones to be in. We've got this form of political parties. We've got where they give the leadership academy,
Yes.
where they pass, young people of the political parties pass through the leadership academy to come out to know what ideology is, how to make ideology, what democracy is, to teach them these principles of democracy and the leadership. You know, that's how Rwanda is preparing the youth, because we have understood that in this country, if 70% are the youth and they've been the ones to rule, they should participate and they know how to rule. And again, these young people are the ones who stopped the genocide. Yes. Came in Rwanda, and they are the ones manning the security. They're in the police.
So they have to be taken with seriousness and assisted. Super.
And prepare them for that future.
Okay. There are those who say that you could be the last communist in Africa today after your namesake in Yugoslavia.
Yes, I'm still. I'm still. No, I believe, you see, I believe in equality.
Okay.
I believe in equality, and I still fight for that equality. And, when you see, there are values of communism: equality, fighting exploitation. Wherever I am, I will be fighting for that exploitation. I don't like someone exploiting another.
The other one, yeah. All right.
But I discuss with others. I'm a Democrat, but still having those values, fighting for equality, fighting exploitation.
So
man by man.
Communist Tito Rutaremara, what do you do in your free time, in your leisure time? This is now a personal question.
In my leisure time,
yes.
I read. I like reading.
What's the latest book you're reading today?
The latest book I was reading is on leadership. Leadership. That's the one which I was reading. And I even read these new books which they write on Rwanda in order to go on knowing it, to know how people are doing it and analyzing the perception of Rwanda. And there are so many books written by on Rwanda. They prevent me from reading other books from there.
All right, so you love reading.
Every week there is a book.
You love reading Rwandan.
And if I read them, you see, instead, when I finish, I say, now let me look at that. I find another one has come, and I want always to understand.
So you're always reading books on Rwanda?
Yes. On Rwanda, I go to internet, because in internet, they give you the summary of things you say.
Happening around the world.
Happening around the world, and happening and sometimes on leisure time I go for a film. For film?
All right. So which are your favorite? Action, horror, romantic?
No, I like all films.
All films?
All films.
All right.
I like seeing how actors are doing it. Okay. Sure. I don't know, like enthusiasm, but I like seeing how this actor is doing his job.
Sure. How about meals? Food. What's your favorite meal?
Food? Well, really, I don't. I like children. I like chips.
Chips. Fritti.
Fritti. Chips.
Yes.
And I like Rwandan food, which is where they use our traditional butter and they put it in beans, okay, and it becomes very delicious. But otherwise, I eat anything.
Anything goes. All right. Thank you so much, Senator Tito, for your time on One-on-One. Asante san. Thank you. There you have it, Senator Tito Rutaremara, our guest on One-on-One today. We've talked about the Senate. We've also cleared the air on some of the issues around the resignation of the Senate President right here on One-on-One. More of this kind of interviews right here on 89.7 Contact FM. The hashtag is 101RW. We'll leave you right now. I'm Eugene Anangwe. Goodbye.